All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started and welcome my friends. I am so excited to talk to you about my two favorite things, pets and natural solutions. I'm going to go over my story and then we're going to talk about all of the different health issues that we're dealing with our pets right now. We're going to talk about food and how important that is. Over-vaccinating is a really big issue, and I like to talk about how that affects our pets' health. Toxic pesticides are another strain on our animals' immune systems. And then we're going to talk about better options with essential oils. Okay, so these guys are my reason why I'm here talking to you about helping our pets live longer. The three on the bottom, Barney, Ozzy, and Tinkerbell, have all passed on. They have their wings, they're angels. And Victor and Jenny are my current pups. And my background is I have a degree in business, and I designed computer systems for 20 some years. And so as far as what we're talking about here with health and supporting our animals, I don't have any formal education, but I do have my experience and my knowledge. So that's what I'm here to share with you tonight. How I first started doing this was about 12 years ago. I had an outbreak of MRSA, and I had abscesses continually, and I had probably a dozen prescriptions of antibiotics, and the doctors kept giving me the same thing and expecting different results. And after 2 years, I said, this obviously isn't working. I'm going to find my own solution. So I started digging into the internet, and I found some natural solutions that included these amazing essential oils. So I started using them. My MRSA went away. I realized that I need a strong immune system to handle anything in the environment. And I kept these essential oils with me forever. I still have them. And they were On Guard blend is what I used as my antibiotic. And tea tree oil was what I used for me for topical application on the abscesses. So I knew these things worked, and I knew it was really a great thing for my body because I didn't have to keep taking the antibiotics. After I got my dogs, I was using the oils, but I didn't realize that I could use them for my pets. And Barney had a lot of health issues, and he was on antibiotics and steroids and digestive medications and ear medications, and goes on and on and on. And then I realized they need a strong immune system too. So that's when I realized that I could use essential oils for my dogs. And that's how I ended up with the group. That's how I ended up sitting here talking to you. And I just really love sharing information with other people so that they can look into it and see if it's right for them to make changes to help their family and their pets. And please, guys, if you have any comments or questions, just unmute yourself and jump in. So one of the things I found out when I was starting to really dive into our pet's health, and when Barney was diagnosed with cancer too, is that cancer is the #1 cause of death in our companion animals. And that's just not okay. I mean, if you think back 40 years, do you remember somebody saying their dog died from cancer? But now it's not unusual. And it's the same thing with people. But there's got to be some reason that the incidence has gone up. And so we're going to look at what the things are that can be a contributor to that we can try to change. Food is medicine, and it has the power to heal. It has the power to help with so many different diseases. So whether it's actual food or it's an extract from food, God gave us everything that we need. So I really like to try to find solutions that come from nature first. Now, this is what really got me started down this little rabbit hole. It's a documentary called Pet Fooled. And I knew when I watched it that I wasn't going to be able to go back, that I had to be ready to commit to making really big changes. And so, my dogs were having problems that were not resolving. And so I went ahead and watched it. And it's the thing that I tell everybody that I talk to. It has so much great information in it about the pet food industry, about how to read pet food labels, and knowing what is in the pet food that we are giving our animals will give you the ability to look at other options. So if you haven't watched this, I encourage you to do so. It's an hour, and I think it really has saved so many pets' health. I know it did mine. Dr. Karen Becker is a holistic vet that I follow, and I thought this was really interesting and very telling, because so many veterinarians are so dead set against fresh food. She says our profession is the only one where we tell our patients that they should eat more processed food and less fresh food. And just seeing that, it's really clear that there's a problem with that equation. And fresh food can be dangerous. That's just, that's crazy. All right. Again, the food that you eat, it can either be the best form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. And I like to equate the McDonald's meal with the bowl of kibble that we give, and I did it, so I'm not judging, that we give our pets for every meal. It would be the same as if you had a child. It would be the same as giving them a bowl of Captain Crunch for every meal, every day. And most of us wouldn't do that. All right. Now, this talks about adding fresh food to the kibble, and it really can make a big difference. I'm not sure that I agree or that there is support for these numbers. It says that leafy green vegetables, that they're 90% less likely to develop cancer in dogs. I don't know that I agree with that, but I do know that fresh food added to their kibble is really beneficial. I talk to a lot of people about changing their animal's diet. And one of the first questions I get is, won't it make them sick if there's salmonella or some sort of, bacteria growing on the food? And the first thing I think of is dogs eat poop. And I've had my dogs do that. Nancy, you have seen that in your dogs?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah. Jenny's favorite thing in the world is goose poop. We used to go walking in Huntington Beach, and I couldn't get her fast enough before she was just, they were like little appetizers.
Oh yeah.
My dogs have never gotten sick from eating poop. So the answer to the question of won't they get sick from salmonella or whatever is no, they have a different digestive system than humans and other animals. They are a carnivore, and their stomach is very short. I don't know if you have experienced your dog eating and then 3 minutes later running outside and pooping. But their digestive system is really short. So the food goes through really quick. And their stomach has an incredibly high acid, a pH, that will not only break down the meat, but also bones. So I feed my animals, say a chicken leg, right? And they crunch through the bone, but there's still pieces of bone that goes into their stomach. And then when they go to the bathroom, there's no sign of bone at all. Well, that's because their stomach acid has dissolved it. So as far as them getting sick from the food, their bodies are designed to process bad or food that has bacteria on it. And I personally have not talked to anybody who has a pet that has had that issue, that they've gotten sick from it. How about you, Nancy?
I have not had anyone get sick from the actual salmonella. The concern with the raw feeding of a lot of people that I talk to is the care that you have to take to feed a raw diet, which cracks me up because a lot of these people are not vegetarian and they eat chicken and they eat beef and it's on your counters and whatnot. And I said, so you don't eat you don't eat meat? And they go, oh yeah, we eat meat. And I'm like, well, how do you handle your meat that you cook for yourselves? And they're like, oh, and I'm like, do you wipe your counters off, your utensils? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's the same as feeding a dog raw food.
Right.
So when you explain it like that, it's a little bit better. The other problem I have is with the saliva, or they can shed the bacteria in the feces. So that's another whole thing. And what I do with my dogs, because, well, hopefully they will be again, therapy dogs, is I make sure they don't have any raw food on their mouths for at least an hour before I do a visit. So they don't have, so there's definitely none of that bacteria around their mouths and stuff. Right. So it cannot last days in their mouth. And a lot of veterinarians will tell people like you can't feed raw because it's in their mouth and it comes out their stool, and that's just not true.
Yeah, no, it's not true. It's not true. And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, I've had 4 senior sick dogs that I have fed a raw diet to, and the health improvement is palpable. It's, I mean, you can see the difference in a very short period of time, and their blood work supports it, and they love to eat. So that's nice. You don't have to coax them to eat. So this chart just goes over how the dog's digestive system is different than other types of animals. And then here's Dr. Karen Becker again. There's things that you can do to add to things to kibble to make it better if you just can't or don't want to feed raw, and it really does make a difference.
Do you want my my feed on that one?
Sure.
So what I tell people is that they can't afford to feed a raw diet. And I say you can't afford not to feed a raw diet. You are going to save so much money in your vet bills.
My dogs don't go to the vet.
My dogs don't go to the vet unless
Yeah.
they need their annual blood work. That is about the only time they go to the vet.
Right. Yep. We just had that last week, our annual blood work. Other than that, there are no vet visits, because if there is something that's going on, we can take care of it at home.
care of it at
And there's not much that creeps up. So yeah, it really, in the long run, it saves time and money, and improves their health. So I encourage people to look into it. It really is beneficial for them. I was thinking about, are there any animals in the world that survive on a processed diet? And I was thinking about, well, like horses, they can get some sort of a kibble, but they also have hay and all of the other unprocessed foods. And so it's not strictly kibble. But other than that, I can't think of any animals that are fed that way, and they're not meant to be. Okay, so the next thing that I like to talk about is the dangers of vaccinations and how vaccinations contribute to the stress on the immune system, which causes our animals to be susceptible to being more sickly. Remember, we want to keep the immune system strong. So any toxins that we can keep from going into or on them is going to help their immune system to stay strong. So we don't talk about anti-vaxxing. We don't want you to over-vaccinate. We want you to learn how to responsibly vaccinate so that you can minimize the toxins, but make sure that they are getting what they need. And what I've learned for my animals is that once they're vaccinated, they're pretty much covered for the rest of their lives. And we're really lucky that there's a test that's available, and now it's available at a reasonable price. Actually, it's cheaper to get the tests done, the blood tests done, than it is to get all the vaccination shots. There's a difference between core and non-core vaccines. I did a whole presentation just about vaccine safety. And the non-core vaccines are the ones like lepto and the one for kennel cough. That's like getting a shot for the cold for us. So for the core vaccines, rabies, distemper, parvo, and the hepatitis. Hi, Rita.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Is there anybody else here with us?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'm going to keep talking and you can sit down and join us.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, not at all. The studies that have been done, not by the vaccine companies, are that once an animal is vaccinated, that those antibodies are good for 7 to 15 years, which means that in many cases, our animals don't ever need to have another vaccination because their body has developed the antibodies against that disease. So that's something that is important to know when you're talking to your vet about your annual vaccinations.
So I can just throw in there, Sherry.
Mm-hmm.
I had Breeze on, do her puppy shots. That's all she had. And she still had a fabulous high titer at 17 years old.
That is great. I love that story. That's great.
So even at 17, she
Wow.
still was carrying that high titer.
That's awesome. And these are the kinds of things that when you talk to your vet, you need to go in there informed and be your animal's advocate, because I know that I talk to my vet and his assistant, and they are just, you know, beside themselves with me because I won't do the vaccinations and the heartworm medicine and all of that. And they read me the riot act, and you know what, that's fine. And I'm not going to do it. So these are my animals. You know, I'm making the decision. I'm not going against any laws. They clearly are in really good health. So thank you for sharing that. And sometimes it can be hard, but we really do have to stand up for our own animals' health. So when you're talking about the vaccines, it's really important that you know what is going into your animal. You know, they say, oh, you need a vaccine, and you go, okay, give me the shot. But if you know what's in it, you're going to look at it a little bit differently. So these are the types of things that are in vaccinations, and they're not going to give you this list of ingredients. This is something that's put together by people who know that we need to be careful with these toxins in our animals. So there's aluminum, mercury, formaldehyde. Those obviously are not things that any of us would want to put into our body or our pets. Foreign animal tissue. Our bodies are not meant to have other species introduced into our bodies. It makes the immune system go cuckoo. Fungicides, antimicrobials, blah, 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 bad stuff. The less we can do, the healthier our pets are going to be. And then the last thing that is really scary about vaccinations is that there is no differentiation in the amount of the vaccination based on our animal size. So if you have a teacup, the vaccination they get is the same as somebody who has a wolfhound that weighs 180 pounds. And I mean, that just doesn't make sense on any level, but that's the way it is. A lot of times when an animal has a reaction to a vaccination, it doesn't happen immediately in the office, it happens later. And so it's really hard to get a veterinarian to connect the two, that whatever is going on with your animal could be linked to the vaccination. But this list here is the types of reactions that an animal can have, and this is a dog or a cat, to the rabies shot. So these are things that we need to take, that we need to pay attention to. There are a lot of people who are legally required to have the vaccination, the rabies, and have the updates every 3 years. And so you need to keep an eye on these types of reactions. And if you see something, you need to do a detox right after, before and after the shot. But a lot of people don't know that's not uncommon. And then we have these 18 states that will let you have a medical exemption. So for my pets, they're elderly. They came to me with horrible health issues. Their immune systems have been stressed, and I do everything I can to not stress them more. So I tell my vet, I'd like to have a medical exemption. They now have the rabies titer test, which is the blood test. And so that can be an option for a lot of people now too. This is the one that makes me the most crazy, is that the insert for the vaccinations clearly states, and it's the same thing when we go to get our flu shot, which I don't get anymore, but they ask you, if you have any symptoms of illness, because you don't want to get a vaccination when you're not well. It's the same thing with animals. So that could be a pet that has severe allergies. That's not a healthy dog. There needs to be a space in time between when they get any type of medication and the vaccination. So these things are really important. You don't want your pet to have any vaccinations when they are having any sort of diminished immune system. And then there's the vaccination basics. You only want to vaccinate healthy pets. Revaccination is a decision that you make with your veterinarian. Your veterinarian doesn't make this decision for your pet. Be aware that it can result in anaphylaxis. That is not something that has never happened. And so watch your pet after they've had their vaccination. And then if you're talking about kittens or puppies, the vaccinations interfere with the immunity that they get from their mother. So if they get their vaccinations and it's too early, then the maternal antibodies are going to block the effectiveness of the vaccination. And then they can get even sicker. That's a different one with the puppies than with the older dogs with the boosters. So here's some more of the reactions that you can look for. I don't know about any of you, but I've never been given a list of these things to look for. And I think before, even if they had given it to me, I wouldn't have looked at it, because I would have thought, if they're giving this to my pet, it must be safe. And there's really no reason to be concerned. I know now that that's not the case. So 11 ways to vaccinate safer. Look for the adverse reactions. Healthy pets only. Ask for that rabies exemption. Don't vaccinate against rabies within 3 weeks of other vaccinations or medication for parasites. I would have never known that, but it makes sense. Make sure they get the correct vaccine. Vaccinate at the safest time, which is in the morning on a Monday, not in the afternoon on a Friday, because if they have problems, vet's office is going to be closed and you're going to end up going to the ER. You want the thimerosal-free vaccine, and that has to do with heavy metal. Look for a homeopathic vet and have them help you with doing things before and after the vaccination. Report all vaccine reactions to your vet and have them report it to the companies. Don't vaccinate within a week of travel, and keep copies of your vaccination records and your titer tests in your car. If your animal gets loose and they go to a shelter, the very first thing that they're going to do is vaccinate the animal. And so if you have your records, then they're not going to vaccinate. So that's why you want to do that. All right. So here's the titer test. Dr. Rob at Protect the Pets is really fighting hard to get the over-vaccination situation under control. He's gone to Congress, and he really offers a very inexpensive service to do this for people. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay. So then we talk about pesticides. I believed the whole flea and tick every month. But if you look in the wild, you see all of these animals running around and none of them are, being eaten up by ticks and fleas and mosquitoes. And the reason they're not is because they have strong immune systems. So the animals that have a weak immune system are the ones that are attractive and are vulnerable to these pests. So I wanted to talk real quick about how the flea and tick meds work. Your animal either ingests the pill or you squeeze on the topical, and it goes into their bloodstream, and it goes into the skin tissue. And when the pest bites the dog or cat, it gets the poison. So these products do not prevent the bites, they kill the pest after they've been bitten. So if you're worried about Lyme disease or something like that, there's still the potential because they're still going to get bit. It's interesting to note that vets and the people who work in their office are given free products as an incentive. And I think that's one of the reasons that these products are in the vets' offices, because the sales reps are really good to them. Because people ask, how can they sell this stuff when they know that it's causing these problems? The FDA actually issued a warning saying that these products could cause neurological events, which are seizures. So all of these companies here are identified in the FDA notice. Unfortunately, they didn't tell these companies that they had to stop selling these products. They told them that they had to put a warning that these products could cause adverse neurological events. And as of right now, I believe only one of the companies has. The other ones say that they're going to do it in the future. So that's not a lot of protection for the community and for our pets. Here's the FDA warning on their website. So there's a lot of groups out there. It's not just one product or the other. It's all of them, because they all are, they're all poisons. They all are something that's meant to be put on the grass, not put on our pets. This is the Seresto collar. And this is the reaction from an animal having the Seresto collar on and rubbing against their owner's leg, and their owner had pants on when it happened. And the toxins went through the pants and caused this rash. So having your pet wear the collar continually is just exposing them to continual poison. This is the ProHeart 6 injection, which is for heartworm. They have since taken the ProHeart 6 product off the market because it was really dangerous, and they came out with a ProHeart 12. So now you can get a shot that will last for 12 months. That's a lot of poison.
Mm-hmm.
Your dog lives that long.
Yeah. That's, yep. And then the other thing that we want to consider is anything that we're applying to our yard or in our house, for that matter. They absorb it through the pads of their feet. If they're laying down in the yard, they're picking it up that way. So this is another form of pesticides entering into their bloodstream. And then the glyphosate is one of the products that is in the poisons that they put in the yards. And they found that it's passed down generationally.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so they found disease in second and third generation offspring from animals who have been exposed to the Monsanto glyphosate products. All right, so here's symptoms of the pesticide poisoning. So many people say, I just gave them this and they're having this reaction. Could, it be related? Yes, absolutely. 100%. The reporting is really hard because a lot of times you go back to your vet and you say they're having this problem and they say, well, it's not related. I mean, it happened a week later or whatever. So a lot of them don't get reported, but these are the numbers. This is the European agency. These are the numbers of side effects and then deaths. So if we can stay away from that as much as possible, we eliminate that source of danger. And then Dawn dish soap. This is another one that makes me a little cuckoo. I don't use that blue stuff in my kitchen. The different ingredients in it, I know are not healthy. If I read through and I can't recognize what the ingredients are, I just know that they're not safe for me or my pets or my family. So putting the blue stuff on your animal for fleas, the soap can suffocate the fleas, but a better option is just Dr. Bonner's Castile soap that has 0 added ingredients in it, and it does the same thing but much safer. So if you talk to somebody who likes the Dawn idea, let them know that it's not the best way to go. All right, so now we're going to talk about natural solutions, which is what I love to use and do and help people incorporate into their lives. So essential oils are essentially extracts from plants. It's the leaves, the bark, the roots, flowers, and then we have some of them that are the fruit, and it's the rind of the fruit. So the essential oils are in those parts of the plants, and in the environment, they actually serve as a way to protect the plant from invaders. So like mold or insects, fungus. It's God gave them their own little ingredients to keep themselves safe. The essential oils are highly concentrated. So they're 50 to 70 times more concentrated than the herbs. So let's say we're talking about basil, and we're talking about basil, the plant. So 1 drop of basil essential oil is going to have significantly more therapeutic benefits than if you're using the plant itself. Okay. So essential oils are a great way to start to remove some of the toxins that are in your home. And actually, the essential oils help boost, they help the body, they help the body get to homeostasis. So they're not going to cure anything, but they're going to help your body get to a place where it can heal itself. Side effects. I haven't had any side effects from any of the oils, and I haven't talked to anybody. I know there's a website that tracks them, and if there's ever a side effect, it's a mild rash on the skin. And that usually happens when the essential oil is being used without being diluted. And so that's why we really encourage people to dilute the essential oils. And 1 drop is the serving size. So when you're talking about your bottles, they have 250 drops. They last a really long time. So you can use your essential oils aromatically, and that's by putting it in your hand and breathing it, or using a diffuser. You can take an old sock and roll it up and put a drop of essential oil on the sock and put it on the floor. Then your pet can smell that. It's a really good way to get the essential oil to the brain so that it can start changing mood. It can, from the brain, it goes into the body, and it just helps the body start to get better. Topically, we like to use the essential oils for massage. Again, we always dilute them. And just so you know, the essential oils take 30 seconds to get into the bloodstream. They take 30 minutes to get through the whole body so that it's in all the organs. And then within 3 hours, the essential oils have worked their way out. So they don't have a half-life. You know, it's use less, more frequently with the essential oils. And then internally, some of them can be used internally when you're using the essential oils and you use them and they go into your gut, they're 4 times more effective. And so in certain cases, that's the way you want to go. If there's something that you need to address immediately and get things really going, internally is the best way to do it. And doTERRA are the only oils that I would ever use in any of those ways, but especially internally. Okay, so when you introduce essential oils to your pets, you can take different essential oils and let them smell them and see which ones they like. My pets don't have that option. I've been using essential oils before I had them, and so they're just used to having them all around. And if they need something, I give it to them, and I don't ask them which one they like. If they're having tummy issues, they get Digestin. If they're having something going on with their ear, I have a blend for that. So, but when you're first starting, it's really good to let them get comfortable with them, with the cap on, and then watch their response to it. I mean, there are pets that are drawn to certain oils and some that are really repulsive to them. And then when you are using an essential oil around your pet, watch them for the first 20 minutes and make sure that they are not having a reaction to it in terms of they don't like it. All right, so 3 things in essential oils for pets: dilute, dilute, dilute. So important. It's all about what kind of animal you have, the size of the animal, the health of the animal. All of those things dictate how much you want to dilute. For a kitten or a puppy, we're going to dilute 0.05%. That's 0.5% of dilution. So that's 1 drop of essential oil to 200 drops of carrier oil. So really, really important. Their systems are not like ours, and we should dilute when we're using them, but we have to dilute when we're using them for our pets. Diffusing, I love to diffuse based on, you know, what's going on right now with the seasons changing. I'm doing something that is more immune boosting. But again, make sure that there's a door open so that they can leave if they want, and keep an eye on them for 15 to 20 minutes if it's a new oil that you're using. All right, topical. This can be kind of tricky especially with animals that have really thick hair. Jenny, my black shepherd, she has some thick hair. And so getting down to the skin is not always easy. So when you're applying essential oils, if you want to do it along the spine, you're going to want to go against the grain of the hair from the tail to the back of the neck. My favorite spot to use, especially when we're talking about digestive issues, is the umbilical area. So that spot where the umbilical cord has very little fur on it. And so that's a really good place to put any sort of tummy type oil. Ear tipping is another really good one. You just put it on your hand and then you rub the tips of the ears. Then they have their own personal diffuser. You can put it in their shampoo. You can put it on compresses, either hot or cold. That's a really great way to do it. Roller bottle, usually so that you're not getting stuff inside the roller bottle. If you've got, you know, some sort of issue, you want to roll it on your hand and then use your hand to apply it, or a little spray bottle. And those are really good to put on the back paw pads. And I say back paw pads because it's farther away from the nose. And so if your pet is not so much liking the aromas, they're not going to get it as strong if it's on their back paw pads. All right. Do you have any special ways that you do it, Nancy?
So yeah, I do I do a lot of topical application in my rehab practice. So we do a lot of against the hair along the spine, and then stimulate the spine with the reflexology points all the way from the brainstem all the way down to their tail base. A lot on the insides of the ears, especially with the calming oils, and on the pads, like you said. The only other thing I would add for aromatic is a scarf or bandana, and you can put the oils directly on that, and they can have that aromatically all the time right under their, you know, their ruff right under their nose.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I actually used that for Jenny with the thunder and the thunderstorms here.
Yeah.
Is the bandana. So that's a good point. And it also reminded me that it would be really great. And I know that we're going to have a lot of people saying yes to having you do a little demo for us again of the massage.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go into some of the essential oils that I like to use. First one is the digestive blend. So if I ever see there's a little bit of looseness in the stool or the stomach is growling, you know, and I can hear it from another room, I get the digestive blend. I have a diluted bottle of it and I just put a couple drops in my hand and rub it on their tummy. And there's never been a time that it hasn't worked. So I love the digestive blend for my dogs. And then of course I use it for myself. If you have an animal that has difficulty with motion sickness or car sickness, Digestin is really good for that. Even just aromatically. So you could put cotton ball in the vent, the air vent with the Digestin, and it'll help with that.
I can say that I use the Digestin probably one of the most with the dogs. But I've also used it on my newborn puppies.
Oh,
So you can put it, you know, just one drop in a diffuser and just diffuse it in the air with the puppies.
oh, wow. That's good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. The next one is lavender. This one is a must-have. It's one of the first oils that I recommend to people because it works on calming. So if there's any sort of anxious feelings or issues of fear, lavender is really, really good for calming emotions. And then it's really good for calming the skin. So any type of irritation or abrasion, lavender is going to be one that you're going to want to use. And it's always safe to put it on them. And if they lick it, they're going to be okay because it's diluted, because it's pure, and because it has absorbed into the skin. And so what they're licking is really a very small amount. Whoops. Frankincense. These oils that I'm talking about here are in the top 10 oils. So frankincense is one that we use for so many things. It helps with cellular health. It also is a calming oil. So it's good for the nervous system. It's good for any type of skin issue. And it's good for mutated cells. So it can help with regeneration of healthy cells. Terra Shield. This is the outdoor blend, and this is the one that doTERRA has offered for repelling insects. So this is the one that you or I could use if we were outside and there were a bunch of critters out there biting us. And this is one of the oils that I like to put in the flea and tick spray. Cedarwood is another one that I like to put in the flea and tick spray. Cedarwood will kill the larva of the fleas, which is great because you can get rid of the fleas, but if the eggs are still there, that's not gonna help. But cedarwood is also really good for calming. So some people don't like the smell of lavender. Cedarwood is equally calming. in terms of emotions. So you can put that in your diffuser. It's also good for skin and respiratory. So these oils have so many different purposes and can be used for pets and people. Lemongrass is another one that I love for the flea and tick spray. Insects do not like lemongrass. So you can diffuse this. The other thing that it's really good for is muscle aches. So using it as a massage for your animal. I use it for Jenny on her hips, and it smells good. And it also helps with the inflammation from her old hips. All right, copaiba. This is one of my favorite. This is kind of our version of CBD oil. It's an antioxidant. It is so great for cellular health. It can help with the respiratory and digestive systems. For me, it's more a help for the nervous system. When my boy Barney died, I literally carried copaiba around and just put drops of it in my mouth, and it really did help. This is one that I give to the dogs in their food every day, and it helps with inflammation, which is really what we're trying to address. Do you use copaiba, Nancy?
I use copaiba all the time. I use it on the dogs like you do, orally. I use it in a lot of preparations I make for pain, inflammation. I use it on the dogs at work during their massage. It also is one of the oils that help the neurological pathways. So it's great on those dogs with any neurological stuff.
Oh, okay. Perfect. On Guard blend, this is the protective blend. This is the one that was kind of my gateway essential oil that I have used as my own antibiotic for the last 10 plus years. This is really good to just diffuse in the house, especially during this time of year. It helps with all the different environmental threats. And while it's doing that, it is supporting a healthy immune system. So the flip side of that, if you're taking antibiotics, it's actually stressing your immune system. So that's why I suggest using the On Guard blend. All right, allergies. This is such a big one. And it's the inflammation that our animals have from all of the stress of toxins and other things on their systems. But we have our own natural allergy blend of
Hammy. Sorry.
hi, Hammy.
I think he's agreeing with you.
Lemon, lavender, and peppermint is the allergy blend, and it works fantastic for people and for pets. So these three oils are actually our beginner kit, because there's so many different things that those three individual oils can do. But when you put them together and you have the allergy blend, it's pretty remarkable how well that blend works as an antihistamine. All right, balanced grounding blend. This is a great one for people and pets. It's really good for the nervous system. It also helps with muscles and joints, so you can add that to the lemongrass and give it a nice little massage. It's great for the emotional health. You can add that to lavender to help with emotional calming. and juniper berry. This is when I was talking to my friend with last night. Her dog has just been diagnosed with kidney disease. So juniper berry is really important for any type of issue with that part of the body, whether you're talking about kidneys or the urinary tract. This is the one that you want to go to for issues with any of that. And again, that's for people as well. It's not just pets. Respiratory blend, this is what we use instead of, say, Vicks. It has all of these wonderful essential oils in it that help open the sinuses, help with any sort of constriction to the lungs. This is great to add to the On Guard and diffuse for this time of year. And also, I've had some I've had some people who have pets with coronary issues, and so they get difficulty with breathing, and so diffusing this blend really helps with their breathing when they're having coronary issues. I just threw this in here because I love seeing actual results. These are some different tests that were done with the On Guard blend compared to the hand sanitizer or colloidal silver, Trader Joe's tea tree soap. You can see the On Guard was really minimal in the bacteria that grew. And then down here, oregano is a really, really strong essential oil, and there was nothing that grew with that. So oregano is another really powerhouse antibacterial. For cleaning, here's On Guard, Clorox, Lysol, and then your control. So you can use Lysol, Clorox, but you're still going to have bacteria grow, and you're going to be breathing in the fragrance and the other ingredients in it. So On Guard is fantastic for cleaning. All right, so I put together a pet starter kit. I just wanted to come up with, for somebody who doesn't have any essential oils, and where do I even start? I don't have any huge issues, but I want to start using them. So this kit addresses flea and tick, allergies, aches and pains, calming, skin issues, and tummy support. And just to finish, I just really want to encourage everybody, do your own research. There's so much information out there and so much support out there. And people like me love to share this information because we found out about it because somebody else shared it with us, right? And knowledge is power, and we don't know what we don't know. And that's what I love, to help people recognize things that they may be able to change, and then help them figure out how to do that. If you can find a holistic practitioner and know that just because somebody says they're holistic doesn't necessarily mean they are. If they want you to use NexGard or do annual vaccines, they're not a holistic practitioner.
Just a caveat to that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they are certified in acupuncture also does not make them a holistic vet.
Yep. I know him.
We have a lot of those.
Yeah. And the other thing is, go with your gut. We know our pets better than anybody. And so We need to be their voice. And then, of course, I know all of us do because we just love our animals, is enjoy your animals every day. All right.
Oh,
So let's see, stop recording.